Day. It is what's going on, everybody. It's wonderful to see everybody tonight. First, before we get dive into what our topic is going to be tonight, let's make sure that everybody is out there praying for those that live in California right now that's dealing with these brush fires
Yeah.
and everything. Let's keep those families and if you happen to have loved ones out in that area, let's keep them lifted up in prayer and let's hope that everything is going well for them and that they can find some, um, some safe haven. Just keep them in prayer, man. What's going on out there is completely devastating right now. But with that being said, me and my man Darrious is going to kick off tonight. We're going to talk about some Chicago Bears football. Our topic tonight is, of course, Richard Sherman had actually spoken and felt, and he feels that the Chicago Bears should really consider um, hiring Pete Carroll as the next Bears head coach. I'm going to share my thoughts on what Richard Sherman, who I have a lot of respect for as a player, as well as an analyst, um, and I understand because he has played under Pete, he has a great deal of respect for Pete. My concern is a couple things. My first concern, and I don't want to seem like age is a factor, but I want the Bears to make a decision when it comes to a head coach in terms of longevity. I don't want us to have to go through the rehiring process of a head coach in the next 3 to 4 years. Okay, first and foremost. Secondly, I want to make sure that the Bears as an organization has sat down and decided on what the identity of our football team and organization is going to be moving forward, not just for 1 year, not for 2 years. Moving forward, what is the identity of the Chicago Bears? One thing we got to do as a fan base is let 1985 be in 1985. This is 2025. We have to move on. We have to let that go. Those were great memories, and we're going to always hold on to those memories. We had great players during that era, but this is a new era, new time, and we have to get focused on what the identity of the Chicago Bears is going to be moving forward. With that being said, I understand why Richard Sherman spoke highly of Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has a long, long history of being an excellent football coach, college level as well as in the pros. Can he build a culture? Absolutely. And I understand that's the primary reason why, he's high on a lot of people's board when it comes to wanting to add a head coach to the Chicago Bears. And don't get me wrong, I like Pete Carroll. I really do. I really liked him when he was in the early stages at Seattle. I love what he put together there, the Legion of Boom and all of that. Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike Pete Carroll. I just don't think that this job at this time is the job for Pete Carroll. With that being said, I have an idea who I would like, and we're gonna touch on that. But I'm gonna allow Darius to kind of chime in. And Darius, you tell me, man, am I off the reservation with my thoughts about wanting to know what the identity is going to be for our football team moving forward, but more importantly, the head coach. Who is going to be that person leading a group of men that are looking to win a championship? What's your thoughts, man?
Before I start, I'm gonna give a one time to the chat. Shout out to Bruce, shout out to Trax, and also shout out to Bradley in the building. I see you guys. Keep the comments rolling, like and subscribe for the new guys that's coming in here. As far as what you were saying, you're not too far off the main line. I really understand where you're going with it. I like Pete Carroll as well, and I don't think Richard Sherman is just being biased. My
I
whole
don't either.
concern, my concern with Pete Carroll, just like yours, with the age. But I've always said when his name was brought up was who is he bringing with him? That was a chief concern for me. Not just a coordinator, but eventually someone that he can put under his wing, and we can see him as a successor. You see what I'm saying?
I understand.
Um, Pete is what he is. He doesn't need a whole lot of talk behind his name. His resume speaks for itself. He's a Super Bowl champion. He was a college football champion. He's a culture builder. He knows how to put a team together because when he got to Seattle, he completely tore that thing apart. He got rid of some of the most popular guys in that building. The most popular guys from that gave back to the community. He got rid of those guys. He tore it up and he rebuilt it back. But he set a foundation. Now, when you talk about setting a foundation, I think that's something that an identity. I'm sorry, that's something that Poles and companies should have an idea of. But the person that's coming in to coach this team and to set this culture, he's going to have to have an identity that he bestows upon this team, and they're going to have to
Gotcha.
buy in. If they don't buy in, then that's where the problem's going to start. But if they buy in and we get the right guy in here, I think things will be all right.
Yeah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. I really do. My thing is this: I believe whoever is selected can create a culture because, and I say that because,
Well. I'm sorry to cut you off, but not so fast. Because remember, the last guy we brought in, he wasn't
yeah,
able to do that.
but you
You
know
know
what?
what I'm saying?
But you know what? But let's be honest.
Uh-huh.
The last guy. I mean, what did he really do? I mean, the last guy, yeah, he had a pretty somewhat top 10 defense when he was at Indianapolis.
Yeah,
But nobody really knew who Eberflus was.
true.
No, they didn't know. So the candidates that's being interviewed, some have names that, of course, have some form of history, or their resumes are strong. Okay,
Hmm.
and then there's some that the question mark is, can they be a head coach? Because right now they're in coordinator positions.
Right.
You know, and I understand um, being gun shy of the whole coordinator to be the next head coach. I get it because the only head coach that we have ever hired that had head coaching experience prior to coming into our building was John Fox, and we all know how that went. Okay,
Correct.
so I mean, we kind of have a recipe for what we typically do as an organization when it comes to selecting a head coach. So I can kind of see wanting to kind of get out of that mold and shake it up some, but we have to be realistic and say that there's no room for error on this hire. So I
Agreed.
say that. So I say that to say this. Pivoting off of Pete Carroll for a moment, let's let's
Hmm.
let's point let's point at a couple of individuals who have head coaching experience.
Okay.
So we have Vrabel, correct?
Yes, sir.
Vrabel did well in Tennessee. You and I have had our exchanges, prior to the show about
Absolutely.
Vrabel,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is all fun banter. To be honest, it's all
Yeah.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My concern is this, man. Who are you bringing in? I want to know who are you bringing in. I don't have no concern about Vrabel when it comes to building a defense. I
Uh-huh.
need to know who are you going to bring in to make sure that we have an explosive offense.
Okay.
So goes to the next question: who would be available? Who could he pick from
Mhm.
where to bring in to help round out and build that offensive staff? That's
Okay.
my question. So I know you would kind of toss some names around, So
Yeah.
kind of hit me with that. Who you
All
think
right.
could be
All right.
available?
Check this out. Okay. Do you want explosive or effective? Me personally,
Both. I'm greedy. I
well,
want both.
well, okay. Being being if we're in a situation that we can't have both, or we just have both, you know what I'm saying, or we it looks like we have both on some weeks more than others. Okay, I just want to win, right? I just want to win, and however we score points, we score points. As long as it ends up with a W, that's the win.
Mm.
Well, listen, because regardless of how explosive your offenses are, it's gonna be some weeks where it ain't coming with you, and you're gonna
I
have to win
understand.
in other ways. You're gonna have to win in other ways. But as far as Vrabel and the people he may bring with him, as far as the staff, I truly believe that he has someone in place to be his offensive coordinator. We may not be familiar with him because we're not really deep into the NFL, but whoever he is, I trust him because number one, Vrabel's a football guy. He comes from good culture. He understands how to win, regardless of the circumstance. He understands. This is the same guy that took a former wide receiver, he was a quarterback. He turned into a quarterback and led them to the AFC title game in Ryan Tannehill. Okay, so yeah, he had Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry was there before too. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Okay. Okay.
So I trust Vrabel because he's a football guy. He's a guy that's much needed in this city. You know, he understands how to play football. And that's something we haven't had. We've had guys that they told us they were this, they were that, they were this, they were that. Matt Nagy, for example. Oh, Matt Nagy was supposed to be such a great play caller and all this, but come to find out, he wasn't calling many plays in Kansas
According to
City.
who?
Well, according to what we were told when he was hired, Andy Reid vouched for him. I mean, like he's supposed to, of course. Andy Reid vouched for him and got him his job. And we believed it. We went for it. Mark Trestman is another guy who's supposed to be so offensive, so innovative. And don't get me wrong, when he was here, we had some explosive times on offense. It just wasn't consistent. And when it wasn't consistent, we couldn't win no other way, which led to the record we had with him. So, not to say that you're wrong for wanting to be explosive, but I think we should all want to be effective no matter how it comes. Okay?
Okay. Okay. So with you saying that, I'm gonna. This is my rebuttal to that.
Mm-hmm.
We know for a fact two of the gentlemen that are on our list to be interviewed. One an
Mm-hmm.
offensive coordinator, the other one's a defensive coordinator. We we see what they're doing. We see the effectiveness that their team is having. And I'm kind of the guy that don't mind. I wouldn't mind weakening my opponent if I can. If I can snatch either one of them from and I'm gonna put out there. I'm leaning more toward Ben Johnson. And the reason I'm gonna go on record and say this. He
Mm-hmm.
was not my first choice until after the Vikings game. He showed me something during that Vikings game that really kind of perked my ears up, which
Mm-hmm.
was I knew Brian Flores was going to try to attack him in a way and attack his offense in a way to really try to put Jared Goff on his, have him uncomfortable in the pocket. And what he was able to do with his schemes, mind you, using Gibbs, considering they don't have Montgomery right now. So he's really
Mm-hmm.
was down to just really his one running back. The
Mm-hmm.
things that he did, the adjustments that he made throughout the game really showed me that a guy who is in tune with his what his offensive schemes are in terms of what their identity is. He didn't get rattled, none of that. He stuck with it and he took care of his business. You know, now on the defensive side, where we talk about um, Glenn, he
Mm-hmm.
handled his business as a defensive coordinator. I mean, and I was super excited to see how uncomfortable they made Sam Darnold. Not like Sam Darnold is, no hell of a quarterback, but but
You
but but
got to give
his
him
record
credit. He's
for this,
having a
but
hell of a
but
season.
his record for this season, you cannot
Uh-huh.
take that away from him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So he had a
this is true.
game that made everybody say, "Is that the? Are we getting ready to see the old Sam Darnold?" No, Sam Darnold just had an uncomfortable game. You know,
Yeah.
will that happen? in the playoffs, we don't know. We shall see. It's getting ready.
We
Everything's getting
shall
ready to
see.
roll out this weekend, so we gonna
Yes,
find out.
indeed. Yep.
But Ben Johnson rose to the top of my list because of that game. Although I've been tracking him all season, I have not missed a Lions game all season because I had a feeling that before Flus got fired, that Flus was going to get fired, and that Ben Johnson was going to end up being one of the individuals that they're going to be considering to look to hire as a head coach. So I'm saying
Hmm.
all that to say um, he's one on my list, and Aaron Glenn is 1A. And then
Mm.
now, don't get me wrong, Vrabel's on my list. As long as
Hmm.
Vrabel can assure me that he can put together a strong offensive side of the ball, as far as coordinators and everything, if he can put that together, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Okay. Well,
You know,
well, let me ask you this:
go ahead.
Do you think Glenn is capable of putting together a team on the offensive side of the ball if he gets this job? Do you trust Ben Johnson to have a guy as D coordinator to come in and put together a scheme for this defense that we have? I mean, it can go either way. And shout out to Bradley because he said the same thing. We can make this particular argument about every candidate. And shout out to the chat. I want the new members to like and subscribe. Um, not saying that you're wrong because in the top five, regardless of how they slotted by anybody who's ever said anything, I don't truly
Hmm.
think there's a wrong answer in the top five or the top four,
No,
however you want to.
I don't think
But
there is either. I think it really come down to the flavor of the day.
and see that's what I'm getting at because that's what Ben Johnson is. He's the top flavor of this year. Now, Ben Johnson has a lot of things in Detroit that's not yet here in Chicago. And one draft is not going to cure that. One offseason is not going to cure that. You know? So the things that he's doing so immaculately in Detroit and making it look so good, we don't have that here. So if some of the things that he may try here without having the things that he have over there, it may look foolish.
Well, for the listeners, share with them what are you referring to in terms of what they have that we don't have.
Okay. They have a stout offensive line. Right? Well, number one,
Okay.
they have a strong culture. Like as much as we talk about Ben Johnson, we know Dan Campbell is a straw that stirs the drink over there.
Okay.
He's the
So
coach
culture
himself. He's yeah.
culture makes
He's not.
identity, right?
It helps create it. It
Okay.
helps create it. He stirs the drink over there in Detroit. Now, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, is a part of his support team. They're there to help him because he's not an X and O's guy. He's a team builder and he's a culture builder, right? So their ideas all collide. You know what I mean, and come
Okay.
together and create what's going on in Detroit. Now their front office has gotten a lot better over the years because about 10 years ago, Detroit had nothing to brag about except Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson, and then Dominican Sue. Their culture was terrible. That's why they weren't able to win. And they had two Hall of Famers. They had two all timers on their offense, but they wasn't able to win anything because they didn't have a strong culture.
Okay.
Dan Campbell brought the culture. Okay, Ben Johnson
So
has
I think I
brought
see
an
where you're
off.
going. I see where you're going with this, Darrious. I
Yeah,
see where you're going with
Ben
this.
Johnson has brought an offensive scheme. Detroit is drafted well. They brought guys in that fit. They fit Dan Campbell's vision as far as the culture and identity, and they fit Ben Johnson's scheme as far as offensively. Them bringing in Jared Goff was a huge deal. Trade Matt Stafford, Jared Goff. Matt Stafford, yeah, he got a Super Bowl over there in LA, but I call that trade even when it happened at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as what Ben Johnson has over there, it's gonna take a little while to get here.
Well, that's going to be with whoever we bring in, though, Darius. Honestly,
Uh,
whoever we bring in is going to. We still, in all honesty, whoever we bring in as a head coach is going to take more than just this coming draft to get us to
mhm.
where we need to be. Are we that far off? I don't think so. But in all honesty, what we really got to focus on are the trenches. If we can deal with if we can get the trenches in order, we good. Because as far as position players, we're there. We're there.
Almost.
Decide on decide what we're going to do. Whether we're going to bring Keenan Allen back or not. But receivers, we're good. You know, we're okay.
Well,
We're going to
the
draft a
unfortunate
receiver.
no. As far as drafting, no. But the unfortunate thing about a guy coming in and setting the culture, some of these guys in the positions where we feel like we're good at are not going to be here.
That's okay.
They're not.
That's
They're not.
okay.
Like this
That's okay.
receiver core
We
we
got
have.
draft capital. We got draft capital, Darrious.
True
We
indeed.
got money we got money. We can fill those gaps. I'm not concerned with that. My
Mhm.
concern, man, is something that the Bears as an organization has yet to be able to do, which is actually put together coaches on both sides of the football that can develop players and create a winning culture. We haven't had this since Lovie Smith. And they kicked him out the door after a 10-6 season.
Well, I honestly feel like I love Lovie Smith, but I honestly feel like it was time for him to go because
Well,
we
Lovey's
won.
biggest downfall was the fact he could never get an offensive coordinator that could put together any type of real offense outside of running the football. That was Lovey's biggest downfall. And,
Well,
and,
that
and again,
and the
Bears fans want a rah-rah dude. Bears fans want somebody, man, that's gonna get mad and act a fool on the sideline. Yeah, that's all. That's all good. That's all good. That's all good for the cameras. But is that gonna create a winning football? That's all I'm saying. You know,
no,
and
you
and,
gotta
and,
have.
and my thing is this too. I got to throw this out here before we wrap things up. To our fellow podcasters and media that's out there, you guys have had too much control on the decisions that our organization has been making over the past few years. I'm gonna need y'all to take a step back, man, because y'all act like y'all know what a y'all act like y'all know what a winner looks like. We haven't had one in this city, so stop it. Yes, we've been able to see other teams and see that they have put together winners, but that does not mean that we know what is best. We need our organization to finally put on their big boy underwear and make big boy decisions as an organization. That goes for Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham if he remains in the building, and everybody else. My fellow podcasters, I support you guys. I watch you guys, but take a step back, man. Y'all don't control what goes on in Hallis Hall, and stop acting like you do. Because, in all honesty, because of the way y'all was acting, is the reason why we ended up with the result that we had this past season. That's on y'all, man. I'm gonna
Mm.
put that on y'all. With
Ooh,
that being
wee.
said, man, I hate to do this to everybody out there. I appreciate you all chiming in into the chat. I wish we could go a little longer, but we got to get ready to wrap things up. Darrious, as always, it's always a wonderful time chopping up with you, man. We're gonna have to do this again real soon, before next Thursday, maybe. But if not till next Thursday, then that's when we'll get together. With that being said, to everybody out there, again, let's keep everybody in California in our prayers. Let's keep our organization in the prayers that they make the right decision. This is not going to happen overnight, guys, but we got to be supportive, you know, and let's just know that and feel that they're going to make the right decision this time around. Me personally think that they're going to get it right. It may not be who I want personally, but whoever they choose, we're going to have to roll with it anyway. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and
Hold on,
wrap it up. Go ahead, Darrious.
before we
Go
get
ahead,
out of
brother.
here, I want to piggyback on what you said. I mean, I feel your pain. Listen. I feel the passion, and I'm with some of it. But as much as I'm down with Ryan Poles and support him, he hasn't made it easy for us to just let go.
Oh, I'm
He
not.
hasn't.
Trust me, bro. He in
Now,
my crosshairs.
now, now, he's finally come out and admitted the steps he took were wrong. Okay, but we cannot deny these Bears fans, whether they podcasters or just regular guys that go to work every day and come home. We cannot deny them an opinion, but it's
I'm not
up to the
denying their opinion, man, but some
right.
of them act like they
But
got power, bro.
yeah, I mean, but that's where the passion comes from, and that's what this city embodies. I mean, listen, Bishop, I feel you. I feel you, and I
We
totally
gonna
understand where you come
Darius,
from.
we gonna have to do another show, bro, so we can just touch on that period. All right, let's do that. Because I don't want the powers that be to get on us because we running over time. So with that being said, we're gonna get up on out of here. We love y'all.
All
Thank y'all
right.
very much for your support. Please continue to support us.
Peace.
Like, subscribe, share the content because you all are the reason why we do this. Until next
Yes,
week,
indeed.
peace.
Bear down.
Bear down.